morning, everybody. Welcome back to Jake and Justin in the Morning. Hope you're all doing well. We got Ryan back. Ryan, how's it going?
We're doing good today. Happy to be here.
So, Ryan, what'd you have for Breck?
Today I had an all-nighter from Einstein's. Which,
That's good.
All-nighter?
Very good, very good. Could be paying for it later, but the all-nighter's solid. Very, very girthy sandwich.
Yeah, it's a bacon, egg, and cheese with like a chipotle sauce, right? It's
Yeah,
usually on
and
like it's usually on a 6-cheese hash brown bagel.
Yeah, and it's like a double layer of egg too.
Oh yeah, it's
so
like 2
more
eggs.
than
Yeah,
just
it's a
regular-
really like
yeah.
high protein, like pre-workout.
It's intense. It's
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
You know, definitely gonna feel it later.
Oh, without a doubt. But I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yep.
I would ask you what you had for Breck, but I've been with you literally.
I had pain and suffering for breakfast today. I literally had a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk. If anyone gets that,
What?
a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk. The classic SpongeBob reference.
I don't watch SpongeBob.
Welcome to the Salty
unfortunately.
Spittoon. How tough are you?
Oh.
How tough am I?
All right, so I had a plain bagel with cream cheese for mine.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
Bagel with cream
I
cheese.
was hungry.
This guy just whips
I
out.
think you were desperate.
I'm looking for him all over the place before we
are you
record,
looking
and
for
all of
me?
a sudden I see you walk out with a fucking bag of Einsteins. I'm like, all right.
Okay, so we weren't. The class had not started yet. It was 7 minutes before class. It was 7:53. I want to eat in the control room. I want to get crumbs on the AD board. So I ate at the couch right outside it.
Can't be
Fair
grossing
enough.
Up the ones and twos.
Huh?
Can't be grossing up the ones and twos.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
All right, we have a really good show for you guys.
No, we don't. You're lying. No.
We always do. We always do. So let's start. You know what? I talked about this already, but I have not talked about with you two gentlemen. I mean, we have off camera, of course, especially with you. But Aaron Rodgers trade is done. Thank the Lord. He's a New York Jet. He goes to the Jets. They get the 15th pick in the draft. We will cover the draft a little bit later. That's what we're gonna probably finish off with. It was a very exciting first round. Rodgers and the 15th pick and a 5th rounder go to New York. The Jets get, the Packers get the pick 13, so they swap first. They get a pick 42 in the second round, a 6th rounder, and a conditional second and 24. Could become a first if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the plays, which, so basically, as long as the season goes even somewhat well for the Jets, that will be a first round pick. So, Ryan, what's your take on this whole thing?
I think it was a necessary move each team had to make, and there wasn't a lot of options for either side in where to go in this scenario, especially considering the Jets had to go get a quarterback. Rodgers wanted out, but I don't think a lot of teams really wanted to start a Rodgers experiment. So it just made sense that he went to New York. And also, the wrinkle you said about playing 65% of the snaps, is that just offensive snaps? Because if it's just all the snaps,
65% of the plays.
just of all the plays, so they have to.
He has to play 65% of the plays.
Okay. So I don't know if he's at 64 towards the end of the year and they throw him on special teams. That was the first thing I thought of when I heard that.
Yeah. So that's my question. So by 65% of the plays, they mean as he has to make does he have to be on the field for 65%, or does he need to actually make a play on his own? Does he need to make 65% of the passing plays? Because if they're handoffs that they're by him, I think that should count.
It just means he has to be on the field for 65% of his offensive
Okay,
plays.
so that's basically 65% of the year, pretty much.
Yeah,
So that's basically 12 games.
give or take, yeah.
About 12 games, give or take.
I'm all foot math, but that's about what? That's number 7.
Yeah, I'm just kind of throwing out a number there.
Spot
I
on.
think 12, 13 games. I think he could play 17.
He's only gotten injured really twice. He's only gotten injured with 2 broken collarbones, and the last one was I think we were in 10th grade when that happened. So
Yeah, he was yeah, so that was a while ago, and he's fine.
He's pretty reliable when it comes to health.
Yeah, he's very reliable when it comes to health, and this guy has grit. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't say what you want about him. He loves to play.
He does.
He loves to play. I think that's why he came to the Jets. As for the trade, oh wait, Ryan, do you have any more to say?
Well, you mentioned the grit thing and the injuries.
Yep.
Do you believe in the Jets' offensive line?
So, we'll get to we'll get to the draft in a little bit, but I think the X factor is Mekhi Becton. He has not been able to stay on the field. He looks like he's finally caring about playing because he's lost a lot of weight. He's lost 50 pounds down to 350, so almost his draft weight.
Yeah, and 50 pounds doesn't sound like much, but because he's still like over 300 pounds, but 300, being in that 300, 350 range is a really good number
Yeah,
for
he-
for a lineman. Like people don't know that. Like linemen are supposed to be huge.
Oh yeah,
If you're a 200-pound lineman, get off the line.
Yeah.
you're a tight end at that point.
Yeah, you're a tight end. If
Yeah.
you're a 200-pound line, you're a wide receiver
Yeah,
at that point.
That's why you hear some stories of these guys come to college as as tight ends, but they want to play lineman, but they weigh, let's say, 260. And like, oh, they put on 60 pounds because like it was either they put on the weight or they have to completely switch positions.
Yeah, and
Because like obviously if you're like 260 playing high school, yeah, of course you can be a lineman. You're in freaking high school. But once you go to D1 college, that's obviously not going to fly.
Yep.
But yeah. So he looks and he looks like he's actually in good shape. He's putting in work finally. If there was a time he was going to finally stay healthy, and when he is healthy, he is a really good young offensive lineman. This would be the year. So it all depends on him, unless they do something else in the upcoming rounds in the draft, or I don't make some sort of trade. I know Jonah Williams asked out a while back in Cincinnati. Could that be something? You don't know. But I think if he's healthy, they'll have a decent enough line. If he's not, it could be a little more complicated. But you can't even if the Jets O-line has injuries or doesn't play well, you can't. If they missed the playoffs, you can't blame it on the O-line. There's no excuse anymore.
no, there is no excuse. I guess now it's time for my take about it. I'm happy Aaron Rodgers is here. Do I love the trade? Not really.
Okay.
People talk about no, yes, I get like you kind of have to take what you can.
Yeah.
And I'm happy we got him. But I feel like people I know we're going to talk more in depth about the draft.
Yeah.
But even swapping between a 1 to 2 picks could be huge, because that player that you're eyeing is based off that position you have, because it's based off what you think you're going to get. So, like for example, I don't believe for a second that the Colts were looking at Bryce Young and think that he was going to drop all the way to 4th.
Yeah.
I don't think they were looking at that. That's
Probably
crazy. I don't think the Giants were looking at C.J. Stroud and saying, oh, he's going to drop all the way down to 25th. No, because that's not how it works.
Right.
If you are, as the 13th pick, the Jets knew, I'm sure the Jets knew what they wanted. I know they were thinking, I had a feeling they wanted a lineman. Paris Johnson got taken at 6, which we'll talk about later, I know. But the fact that we gave up the 13th pick for a guy who I feel like we gave too much for a guy who could maybe last the Jets at a maximum 3 years.
Like,
this guy's going to be 40. He's going to be 40 in December. So basically at the end of the regular season or closer to like week 13, that's when he's going to be 40. And do we think that he has that Brady style in him to where he can play until he's 45, 46? I don't know. I don't think so. The fact that he went onto the Pat McAfee show and said, I was 90% retired, that just shows me that he's not going to be, I don't think he's going to be here long. I know he said in the press conference that, this is not just going to be a 1-year thing. Now I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's not like these athletes don't, finesse the truth a little bit. They don't, because he could say now that because he could say now in the off season way before September that this is not just a 1-year thing. But you don't know if when January hits and May they get into the playoffs that he's going to end up saying, nope, I'm done. I feel like they gave up too much for him. Also, I feel like the Packers are a bunch of dicks for that.
Justin,
Yes.
they are a bunch of dicks, especially the GM. No.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about your
Shout out to
GM
Liam.
in a second. Shout out to
Like-
Liam. Yeah, shout out Liam. But anyway, shout out Liam for doing a great job on TD today for the final.
Facts, yes.
I think we had a great final show, by the way.
did.
Shout out.
Wow.
So good job there with everybody. Ryan, good job.
Good job, Ryan.
Good job.
I'm not even in the class.
Good
I,
job for being within a 20-mile radius of it.
Oh, okay.
Great job.
Thank all the people of Bridgeport.
For
getting this
the
show
greater
done.
Bridgeport area. You deserve a cookie.
Thank you.
You deserve a homemade brownie from Sid.
Oh,
that I did not get.
that you did not get.
Same.
I had several of
That
them.
I did not get.
Yes.
Me and Justin did not grab. We did not have those brownies. You
Damn.
had.
We did not have those
That's-
brownies, and I was
that's tough.
very depressed.
I hate to hear it. I hate to hear it.
Yeah.
I was very sad. You should have known. You should have been like a forward thinker, like Doctor Strange.
I should have saved one.
You
for
should have
4
had a
months,
Doctor Strange.
and
You
I
should
gave
have
it
saved
to
one
him.
4 months ahead. You could
Mm.
have put that shit in the freezer. It would have been good for the next 10 years.
Okay.
But
It's like a twin.
but anyway. So well,
I
before,
like
before
the point you said about finessing the truth.
Yeah.
And Rodgers is, a lot of people said this before, he's kind of like the Kyrie of the NFL.
he is kind of like the
And
Kyrie, but
Kyrie said he's
I will
gonna
say
leave.
though, Kyrie. One thing we need to just add: Aaron Rodgers is just nuts, but he's a harmless guy.
Oh yeah.
He's a
Yes.
harmless guy. He's not. He's
I-
not going to be
I
one
don't
of these
think he's
people that
malicious.
starts shit
Hmm.
and just because.
Yeah.
You know, he's a
But
harmless dude. But
I do compare it to Kyrie said he was going to resign in Boston. He said he wasn't going to leave Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, and now he said he's going to resign in Dallas. So
he said he
all
wasn't
three of
gonna
those
leave
things we're
Cleveland.
not sure. And he also said Cleveland.
He looked a small child in the face and said, "I'm not going to leave Cleveland." You broke a little kid's heart. It's almost like it's
So-
almost like telling him that Santa's not real.
Yeah, so when Rodgers says, "Oh, I'm going to be here for a little bit, a couple years or whatever," I also have a hard time saying like, "Oh yeah, for sure, no doubt." And like you said, 3 years. I think 3 years is the max, and I only think 2 of those years are going to be good if they get
Yeah.
3 years. If you
Alright.
see that for a
Yeah.
third year, I don't think it's going to be any
Yep.
good.
But yeah. Hey, wait, real quick, because I just want to finish up my things. I know Liam has some commentary as a Packer
Mm, we gotta
fan.
hear that, we
But
gotta
anyway,
hear
so
that.
it's like I feel like what the trade was for Aaron Rodgers is that it benefited the Jets, but not enough, and it didn't really benefit the Packers at all. The Packers need a quarterback. They have no backup.
Well, they can.
We
pick up
took Tim
somebody.
Boyle.
Well, they'll pick up. They'll pick up like.
Oh
Joe
yeah.
Flacco or
Oh yeah.
Carson
Oh, I
Wentz
know
or
they're gonna
some
pick. Oh no, I know
garbage
they're
like
gonna
that.
pick somebody up. But I'm just saying, I would have taken if I were them. I would have taken Zach Wilson. I would have taken a young guy who at least has a modicum of potential to where the biggest hole in his game was everything and accountability.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. At least he could
His only
throw.
flaws were on and off the field.
Yeah, at least the problem. Okay, the one thing I will give credit to Zach Wilson is when he actually wants to be a playmaker, he can do it. We've seen it before. We've seen the bombs he's thrown. We've seen the dimes he's thrown. We've seen the way he could scramble and run. I genuinely think there's a part of it where he could benefit in that Packers O-line system because he also had no time to throw. Especially in his first year, he had no time, and even then, he still did pretty well. What I feel needs to happen is he needs to go to a new system, and I thought the Packers could have benefited from because if I'm a Packer, I wouldn't trust Jordan Love. But the
Oh, no.
fact that the Packers we're asking for so much for a guy like I said, for a guy who's probably going to be in the league for 3 years max after this
Probably two.
I think was a little much.
Yeah.
Liam?
So,
Liam, I know you want to say some stuff.
and then I'll
Okay.
finish off this segment.
Okay, my GM and my front office, fuck the Jets over. Like, they just kept the original deal. Just add another second round pick to that deal, plus adding Wilson and Mackay to it.
I mean, looking back, I probably wouldn't add back to him because we didn't know they were
I wouldn't add
linemen.
Mackay. I wouldn't have added Mackay, but I would have added some more picks and Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now, I know you guys going to do the draft later. The Packers fucked up the draft for us.
They did. We'll
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah, we'll
that
talk about-
right now.
talk
Right
about-
when.
I'm actually gonna finish up the Aaron Rodgers segment. So back to Jordan Love. I don't think Jordan Love is very good at all.
Oh, we know.
When,
We know.
when the Packers moved up, I laughed. I don't think he's very good. That being said, the Packers don't really have a choice. You traded up to get him 3 years ago, and you sat on him for 3 years. You can't just assume he's bad. I expect him to come. I expect him to be not good, and I don't expect.
I mean, you never know. I like to bring this up, but remember, Aaron Rodgers' first ever throw was a pick six,
true, yeah.
and people thought he was bad. What I think.
Aaron Rodgers is a
I
much better
think-
prospect than
Well, yes,
Love.
he's a much better prospect, but I do kind of think people are slightly overhating Jordan Love, mainly because you're right. He has been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. He has gotten zero play time. The only game he played was his first ever debut in a garbage time game,
I mean,
and
the one
and
game
then
he
he
started
sat and
was
then he sat on the bench for another 2 years.
That's true, but also
And the problem is just because Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. The problem is Jordan Love doesn't get any time, and I think the benefit is to play behind Jordan Love. To play behind Aaron Rodgers, I think he could learn a thing or two. For the one quarter he did play against the Eagles, he actually did look like he improved somewhat.
That's a
I
little
feel like
better.
he has not had enough experience to give something. Give him a year.
Right.
Yeah.
No, give him 8 games.
No,
If in
the
8
Packers,
games,
the Packers don't have a choice.
Like, I would say-
you can't draft the guy that high and not not
okay.
give him a
So
chance.
let me ask
Right.
something. So I know. So let's say, for example, you're watching the Packers.
Mhm.
Let's say Jordan Love has like a 25-9 season, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I'd actually say that's a pretty good season.
I would
It
too.
would be.
I'd take that.
I would take that
Especially
season,
for-
especially for a guy who's gonna have his like first ever like career starting season.
Yeah.
I feel like people just need to give him time. I'm not saying he's not good, but what I'm trying to say is that he's unproven. I'm not trying to be like, oh, you gotta let Jordan Love cook. No, I'm just saying give him a shot.
Yeah.
Because
But
also
the Packers don't have a choice.
because yes, there's the whole thing of do we judge the helmet? Do we not judge the helmet? On one hand, you look at a guy like Carson Wentz and Zach Wilson, where you do judge the helmet that they had in college. But on the other hand, you could look at a guy like Josh Allen, who's a very, very good
Yeah.
quarterback who went to Wyoming State, which is arguably worse than Utah State.
I mean,
Utah's
Wyoming
just the
has like 8
worst.
people in it.
Wyoming has 8 people in it, and one of them is Josh Allen. So
So 7 now.
I would just see where it goes.
Right.
That's what I do. I wouldn't be optimistic, but I wouldn't be
I'm definitely not.
pessimistic. I would keep it.
I'm pessimistic just because the whole like thing. Oh, because Rodgers sat behind Favre. They're very different situations. Favre. There was really Packers weren't really thinking about trading him like after the first year. Packers probably should have traded Rodgers 2 years ago. With Favre, that was not really the case. We pretty much knew Rodgers was going to be really good. Him and Alex Smith were both top prospects. The way that draft was built, whoever went first overall to the Niners and was obviously going to go first, and whoever did not, the way the draft was built was going to fall. That way the way the draft was built. So like Rodgers could have been the first pick in that draft. Of course, Alex Smith goes first to San Francisco, so Rodgers ended up falling in the draft. So I think it's a little different.
Yeah, I'm not saying to not have all this faith in Jordan Love. You know, I'm not saying
Right.
that. Well, all I'm trying to say is
It's just
give him some
inconclusive.
time. He's still very young and he's incredibly unproven.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think? I mean, okay, yes, Jimmy G is kind of mid,
Mhm.
but you know, people were also kind of saying, oh yeah, Jimmy G sucks, but he has no time because Tom Brady just is because
Yeah.
it's Tom Brady. You're not going to play over Tom Brady, just like Jordan Love is never going to play over Aaron
Right.
Rodgers.
And
That's ridiculous.
And just one more thing before we close this out, I'll give my Aaron Rodgers take one more time. I think they sat on they sat on him for 2 years. They could have easily traded him. He's coming up 2 straight MVPs. They could have easily traded him. Probably got even more than what they got from the Jets. But instead, they give Rodgers $150 million over 3 years. I think part of that is because they didn't think Jordan Love was ready. And for me, you trade up to get a kid in the first round. He sits behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, and he still isn't ready. That concerned me.
That's
Oh,
a very fair concern.
That's
Very fair.
That's concerning.
And in his glimpses, he hasn't wowed us at all.
The first game he played,
That was abysmal, but that was also in a garbage time game on his first ever career
Yeah,
start.
he
I
also-
would.
he did not look like
The
he
only
knew how to play
reason
football.
why I'm giving him benefit of the doubt with that is because of first game jitters. I am
True.
not expecting. Not everyone could be like Brock Purdy on his
Oh,
first
no,
ever
I'm
game.
not expecting him to play for 400 yards, but he
He looked ass. Oh, trust me, he looked like dog shit. But still,
he looked like he couldn't even make my high school team. My high school team sucks.
my high school team was pretty good. Shout out Mike Sirico on the QB team. Shout out Mike Sirico.
Yo, we're showing high school.
Shout out
athletes.
DJ Nymphius, my high school, my history teacher / football coach.
Teddy Bruschi was our high school football coach.
Oh, nice.
For real? That's
Yeah,
sick.
his son
Yeah.
was in my
nice.
grade.
So, but yeah,
Yeah, Bill Parcells went to my school,
that's
Oh,
right.
for real?
and they don't have a statue of him. I'm pissed.
They should have named the school after him.
They should have named the school after him, but they
Should be
don't. 'Cause
Bill
they're
Parcells High
fucking
School.
stupid. No, I'm kidding. Shout out Riverdale. Shout out the Hawks.
Riverdale Hawks?
The
All right,
Riverdale, not Riverdale. Don't even.
No, I'm saying it should be the Bill Parcells.
Yeah, Bill-
Parcells.
Yeah, Bill Parcells, high
Yeah,
school.
But with Rodgers, I'm happy they got him. Like, I would have rather not given him a first, but they didn't have a choice. I'm happy. They just got him. I think both sides got what they want.
I think they did.
It's a beautiful mess.
yeah. All right. So draft time.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's go draft. So NFL draft happened. It was definitely very fun. I know a lot of people were in there. A lot of people in our friend group were there, and we were going crazy. There were some very interesting picks.
Could not make
Some very There's some very interesting picks. Some that weren't surprising. I don't want to talk about the ones that aren't surprising. That's the thing. Let's start off because obviously we knew Bryce Young was going.
Right.
Good pickup. CJ Stroud, great pickup. Anthony Richardson, great pickup. I want to first talk about Paris Johnson going 6th. What do we think about that pickup?
I did have Peter Skoronski ahead of Paris Johnson. That being said, Paris Johnson is going to be, I think, a really good offensive tackle in this league. And Arizona, they had maybe the worst offensive line in the league last year. They had a bottom 5 offensive line in the league. They also had a bottom 5 defense and a man child, the quarterback, which didn't help either. But offensive line was definitely our main concern. Arizona is a mess right now. Kyler might miss half the year. Their tight end Ertz is coming off an ACL. D-Hop's a foot and a half out the door. Their owner's under investigation for a lot of stuff. They lost some pieces in the offseason.
First year head coach.
Yeah, a new head coach who looks like somehow even geekier James Murray. I know you can get geekier than James Murray.
How?
But exactly, but he looks like a common. If James Murray and Pee Wee Herman had a baby, I don't know how that's gonna work out. They got a new GM.
Lovely visual.
Yeah, great visual.
I don't know what's on the Montias for. I don't know what's going on in Arizona. Oh, but I thought it was a solid. Like they traded up from. Obviously, you move down from 11. You get a lot of picks from the
It's the Titans.
The Texans. You get a lot of picks
Yep.
from the Texans, and you move back up. So I thought it was a solid pick.
I thought it was a good pick.
They're one of just the most shit irrelevant franchises ever, and it just comes down to a matter of drafting positions of need at this point.
Yeah.
And going with a sure thing like an offensive tackle. Usually you don't pick an offensive lineman that high, and it's like, oh, they were this massive bust. They usually pan out pretty well. It's a safe pick and a necessary pick. Like you said, they have this shit O-line. They paid this quarterback a crazy contract, so you need somebody to protect him, especially coming off an injury. So
And
it just makes sense.
Kyler likes to run.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And also, can he even see over Paris Johnson? Paris Johnson is a
No.
tall dude.
I
I
don't
don't think he
know.
can see over Paris Johnson.
I don't know if he can.
It was the same thing with Bryce Young,
yeah,
though, because
yeah.
was he 5'9" or
Yeah.
something, 5'10"?
Bryce Young's like the same size. He's like maybe he's slightly maybe an inch or two taller than Kyler.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, I'm going to start with you here because
Okay.
I'm sure you watched the draft or
Yeah.
at least parts of it.
Yeah, I caught most of it.
So there was a very strange pick in the first 10 picks
Mhm.
to where the Atlanta Falcons took the running back Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, that's the last name? Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think drafting a running back in the first round is the dumbest thing an NFL team can do. I think you can find, like, there are some guys that are special. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
There are Derrick Henrys out there. There are even Saquon Barkley's out there that I understand why you draft high for them. If you don't identify a guy like that, you can find great backs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. There have been a lot of great backs you have found in later rounds. One of the Patriots' biggest mistakes in the last few years was drafting Sony Michel in the 1st round. You could have found a guy to do his job, it literally as an undrafted free agent. Most of it is how good your offensive line is. It doesn't matter who's carrying the rock most of the time. You just need a guy who's adequate if you have a good O-line. So it makes absolutely no sense to me why they would do that when I think they have a lot of other needs too.
Yeah, it was
Running
a
back
strange
makes
pick.
no sense.
Very
That's a
strange
horrible
pick.
Yeah,
pick.
my thing is like
stupid.
to your Liam said it was stupid. My thing is this.
Oh, we'll get to the Packers at the end. Trust me. We're going to talk to the Packers at the end of the draft talk.
This is my thing with
Okay.
that. Bijan, I think, is going to be a beast. I normally say do not take a running back in the top 20. You want to take one late in the first round, maybe like Najee Harris was 23rd overall, so two years ago by Pittsburgh. That's fine. If the guy is good enough, if he's talented enough to be Najee Harris. Bijan Robinson is one of the most talented backs to come out in probably the last 5 or 10 years. I actually had him going 10th to the Eagles in my mock draft, so I thought he could have been a top 10 pick.
That would have made more sense. Eagles,
Yes.
where everything's already
Well, he
set.
even said he wanted to play with Jalen Hurts.
Right, yeah. So and
Who wouldn't?
That's probably why he took him.
my thing is Atlanta. Look, you have Tyler Algier who you took 6th round last year. You played well down demo stretch. Kid I like. You have Paris, who's like your gadget guy there. Is Bijan an automatic upgrade over those two guys? 100%. That being said, Atlanta had so many other needs. Offensive
exactly.
line. I like what they did in the offseason, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They still could use in the receiver, O-line, and even secondary. And there were so many receivers, so many offensive tackles, so many DBs available, and you take a running back. It just didn't make a lot of sense.
No.
They could have had Skoronski.
Could have had
They
Skoronski.
could have Skoronski. It just... I think it was a big missed opportunity to get a building block at a position of need. Bijan could be a building block, but also at the end of the day, running backs, you don't have them for that long. That's why you shouldn't take one this high.
Yeah, you may get 4 or 5 good years out of him, and you're a rebuilding team. You're not in a win-now situation
you might get
either.
5 great years and then 3 or 4 good years out of them, and then off the line you could get at least 10 great
And you
years
still
out of
need
them.
that to line up with your quarterback success as well.
Yeah,
To which is still a huge question
Yeah,
mark.
exactly. It doesn't matter. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And now we gotta get the strange picks out of the way. Let's talk about, because we got 3 different fans here: 2 Jets fans, 1 Pats fan, 1 Packers fan. Going from great, decent, horrible. So let's start off with great. The Packers drafted Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon, out of training down. What do you? If I'm a Pats fan, I mean, who did you want, and are you satisfied with getting Gonzalez?
I am very satisfied. So I was watching the draft, and this happens every year. I watch the draft and expecting Belichick to pick at the spot and not trade down. And every year, like an Alzheimer's patient, I just wait and forget that it's going to happen again. And again, he traded down. Thankfully, it was only a few picks. He didn't trade out of the first round or anything. So I didn't have to wait. I only have to wait maybe half an hour later. And like I said, a matter of positions of need. I think offensive tackle was their most pressing need. But like we said, 3 offensive tackles, I believe, went ahead, 2 or 3. Cornerback was my second biggest position of need for the Patriots. They needed first a guy over 6 foot, because there wasn't a single guy in the room that was over 6 feet. I like Jonathan Jones. I like Marcus Jones. I like Jack Jones. But there's no true number 1 corner there whatsoever. There's a lot. All those guys could be good number 2s. They need a guy who they can develop into a number 1. And they're clearly good at developing corners with next to nothing, who haven't been scouted for any talent, from J.C. Jackson. Gilmore came in. That was a different scenario. But even Malcolm Butler came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love this pick because it's a proven guy. They say he has all the tools. He's only going to get better. He's going into a system that I think will cater to him to help him improve and become, I think, a piece that's going to be vital for them going forward. So I absolutely love this move.
I think Jacoby Myers was a great cornerback for you. He really did a great job at getting picks for the Patriots.
He really did.
He really did a great job. By the way, that play was like some kind of hook shot, some kind of Kareem skyhook to Chandler Jones. What was he cooking? Anyway, the Christian Gonzalez pick, I think, was a great pick.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not a Patriots fan, but I'm happy for what they got. Definitely, as a team that did have a great cornerback, I could say that they are fantastic to have, obviously. And Christian Gonzalez was probably the best corner that you could have in the draft right now. Some people could argue Joey Porter's up there, but I think Christian Gonzalez is better. But I mean, there's really not much to say there. Good pick.
I mean, the upside is tremendous.
All right, Liam, prepare your rant, because we're going to be talking about the Jets for now, so you got time. Jake, the Jets, with the 15th overall pick, selected, of course, because as Joe Douglas loves to do, he loves to pick up guys named Michael or Mike. They're similar names. So now they have technically three Mikes on their team, 2 of which named Michael Carter. And they now
Who's the other Mike?
Mike McDonald.
Well,
Will
no,
McDonald.
It's Will McDonald.
Hey, Will McDonald, fucking.
That whole bit for nothing.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think you were
Mike
talking
White.
about the
Mike White.
He's on the Dolphins now.
Well, no, they did. He
Justin,
does
I
like
think
his
you were
Mike.
leaning into the last name.
I thought it
Mike-
was Mike McDonald. I thought it was Mike. I thought.
You're thinking
wait,
of Ronald McDonald.
Wait, fucking.
Michael
also,
McDonald's the
a
singer for
fucking
the
Instagram
Doobie
page called him
Brothers.
Mike.
Oh
And,
God.
dumbass
So that's why I
for
thought I'm an idiot. I'm tired. It's an 8 a.m. I've had a very long day. I'm sorry. This happens all the time. They drafted Will McDonald, the 4th. Why you would name your kid Will McDonald 5 times is very strange to me. So anyway, what is your stance on this pick?
I thought it was an okay pick. I know it got panned a bit. I don't think it was as bad of a pick as people were saying. I think he's very talented. He's I think chance to be a really good pass rusher. And we saw a video of him literally jumping over a car, so he's very athletic.
Yep.
That being said, I don't think he fit what that's not really what the Jets were looking for. To their credit, the guy they wanted, Broderick Jones, off the last, off the tackle that was worth that pick. The only other guy was Anton Harrison, who you're not taking to at least pick 25. Was the Steelers trade up and grabbed them right before you. So they were kind of now. I think they were kind of stuck. So now that I think they had to scramble. That's why they took so long to get their pick in. So I think they're like, oh crap. Now they were scrambling.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to talk about.
And I think the pick was Nolan Smith or Miles Murphy. They could have gotten. I mean, you in a Robert Saleh defense, Saleh loves to go. You're seeing 9 different guys on that line. They don't really need another pass rush. They don't have like I mean, Quinn Williams obviously is a beast, but he's an inside guy, but he can play outside. He mainly plays inside. They don't have like a true like a Von Miller kind of guy or a Matt Judon kind of guy like those 2 guys coming to mind within the division.
Yep, absolutely.
That being said, I do think they could use maybe one more linebacker. I like Mosley in the middle. He had a bounce back year last year. You had Quincy Williams.
Well, except for that one,
that one play.
Full start,
That was actually kind of funny. Yeah, they brought back Quincy Williams, which I liked. He had a best year of his career last year. They could use one more linebacker, so I think it was a decent pick. But one thing, it's a reach. He was a late first round, early second round. I took him at 15. I think it was a bit of a reach. So it was a men's pick.
Overall, would you say you're content with the pick? And the dude can play. You just would have preferred a different position.
I'm content, but I would have preferred I would have preferred they went somewhere else because it's not out of the question they could have gotten the 42. I doubt they get him at 43. We never know. Maybe you could have like moved up in the second round without mortgaging too much of the future and still gotten them.
Yep. So I want to talk about management because this was my issue
or lack thereof.
So first of all, that was why I was annoyed with the Aaron Rodgers pick, the Aaron Rodgers trade, because if we kept that 13th pick,
true.
Broderick Jones was a lock.
I mean, if that's what you're going to have to get Rodgers, I would still do it.
I mean, still though, because my take on it is this: the Jets last year, the best part of their game, and it's undisputed, was their defense.
Oh, by country mine.
I didn't think it was number 1 priority. That being said, I'm all for bolstering up the depth on that defense. Somebody could get hurt. You need somebody else.
Also, in Saleh's defense, having depth is very because Saleh runs 9-man fronts. That's why the Jets defense is so good. Not only are they extremely talented, they're also really deep. And Saleh rotates his guys in and out.
Yeah, he does. So
you're lining up against
he's a
9
smart
different guys a game.
He's a smart defensive guru. That's where he's really shined as a head coach on that defense because everyone on the defensive end has improved this year. And I have to give him credit for that. That being said, that this year is his prove it year. That's a whole new story for another day. But my problem is Joe Douglas. So you're telling me that Joe Douglas. So the Steelers get Broderick Jones. And you're telling me Joe Douglas spends 10 minutes and then starts celebrating like he got this massive steal for a guy who's a reach. Like, what are you? I think it was. I agree with you, but also, where was your research? Because my thought is, where was your backup? So you're basically telling me. So I'm assuming that in terms of like first round picks, he most likely won a lineman, and it was probably going to be either Paris Johnson or Broderick Jones. They both went, and I don't think he had any other plans. We thought he was trading down.
Yeah.
He was spending so much time. They were all on the phones. I saw him sitting at his computer. Was he looking up Will McDonald highlights? That's what I think he was doing. That's legit. I am legitimately thinking that's what he was doing. He was looking up on YouTube, Will McDonald the fourth highlights.
He looked up Mike McDonald.
Best top
and he
10,
realized-
top 10 best
He looked
plays.
at Mike McDonald,
Yeah, I know. He went on to PFF and looked at and read
That's
his
why
stats.
the pick came in so late.
Yeah, he went into PFF, and then all of a sudden he's like, who do I pick? Who do I pick? Who do I pick?
That's
Let me
one of my
think
favorite
about
parts
this.
of the draft is watching the war rooms because just seeing how those
That
guys
was
conduct
the
themselves.
that was the one takeaway from like the draft that was virtual during COVID. It was actually a lot of fun to watch. You saw the draft rooms. I don't know what was going on at Mike Vrabel's house.
The classic
Mike
one.
Vrabel's was hilarious.
The classic one, the funniest one,
Bill.
was in the Vikings route was in the
Oh, yeah,
Vikings
when they
Jefferson.
laughed at
when
it,
they
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they laughed at
Jalen
Jalen
Reagor.
Rager, and then they're like, yeah, we'll take Justin
I
Jefferson.
think it was say
Thanks.
when Belichick.
But that
His
was-
dog made the pick.
His
Yeah,
dog was
made the
picking
pick.
for him. He was
His dog was
housing
picking for
Nantucket.
him. Yeah, his
The
dog is.
freaking Gettleman's in like this really weird room by himself.
Yeah, he is.
yeah,
It's
mask
probably
on,
in his
I don't know what's-
closet.
But yeah, when they
Probably in a
show
closet
the
somewhere,
GMs and all management, like it's very telling how they all connect us. How many people are in the room? Because I remember the Panthers had the number 1 pick. There were like 50 people in the room, and like it's just like there's a lot of people doing nothing here.
It is. But my real issue is I don't have an issue with the pick. I primarily have an issue with the fact that it was obvious that there was a big lack of planning ahead.
Yeah.
I feel you need to be aware of if your pick is gone. And because you trade it and because you have because you now have the 15th instead of the 13th, you now need to be more aware of that. That was my only issue. That was my only issue with the pick. It has nothing to do with the pick itself. It has to do with Joe Douglas. And I just think he should have been a little bit smarter with this.
I think he went into a draft saying there's 4 really good offensive linemen: Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, and Darnell Wright. And he was like, he expected one to be available, which, to be fair, I thought that one would be available too. I think a lot of people did, but then we didn't think Arizona would move back up and take Paris Johnson that high, and then Skoronski, and then Darnell Wright went a lot higher than we expected. Then Skoronski goes, and then the Steelers make a bit of a surprise move to move up and get Jones. I think so. To his credit, that was unexpected. But that being said, the NFL draft, you have to expect the unexpected, especially.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at.
Exactly, especially in this draft when this was one of the most mystery drafts we've had in a while.
It is.
Big time.
I'm not sure what his background was if he couldn't get an offensive lineman. Again, I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think it's an okay pick, but it's a bit of a reach, and I think I thought that you could have gotten a player that fit them a
my
little better.
only thought for the reasoning for it is because Brees and Alan Lazard played with him on the Cyclones.
Lazard's probably graduated long enough ago.
Yeah, but they were
him,
both
but-
from Iowa State,
and
so
But Brees Hall was a rookie like this, so those two probably.
Yeah,
played
those
with
probably
college
played together, and I guess obviously probably some of that they know each other. They all 3 of them come from the same school. Brees liked the pick. I'm fine with the pick. Add more depth. It'll fit well with Salah's defense. At least it fits with something.
Yeah.
Now time for the Packers. As for the Packers needed some stuff, Liam, as you know. Obviously they got the 13th pick.
I think that.
No, it was 13th.
Oh yeah, 13.
It was
my bad,
13th because
yeah.
I got it from the Jets.
12 is
So they got the 13th pick, and all of us in our little draft room, aka the Martyr Theater room,
Oh yeah.
which is so nice to watch stuff, by the way, really nice. It could be a
100%
little
nice,
cooler in there. It's so hot in there, but still.
They didn't add AC.
Yeah, they need AC, but you think there's some appeal they take. Instead, they take the defensive end, Lucas Van Ness. Liam, Packers fan. I watched a guy named Tom Grossi today, who's a big Packers
He's
fan,
so funny.
and his commentary was, "This is why I don't get excited." Liam, as a Packers fan, what is your stance on picking up a defensive end that you arguably did not need?
Our defensive plays are great. We have one of the good defensive lines within the NFL. But the thing is, we did not need a defensive end from the draft. We needed a wide receiver to get something else for love. We need probably something for our O-line to make it better. Or the big thing we fucking need was a backup quarterback.
You need a backup. You need a starter.
Well, they don't have a choice. They gotta give him a shot.
Yeah.
So
They would
They'll take a
they would
quarterback.
look pretty stupid.
They'll take a quarterback in like the
They
4th
took a
round this
quarterback.
year.
yeah. So like if it did draft a quarterback in the first round, he will probably be our backup because we'll go love a shot. If not, then if they did pick a quarterback from this, it will be him starting. But I am fucking pissed about this shit. Like, we did not need nothing for our defensive line. Our defensive line is great as it is. So we need a freaking shit for our offensive line. We need either an offensive lineman or something for our offensive tackle, or we will need wide receiver to help out Love. If not, I want a fucking backup quarterback. Hopefully, during continuing of the draft, we'll get a backup.
All right. Do you think I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong? And I'm sorry. Do you think is it Gundkunst? Is that how you pronounce the last name? Gundkunst. Yeah, I know it sounds like a derogatory word for a woman, but it's not. Look it up. It's Kunst.
It's a term of endearment in the UK.
I ain't gonna say
Think
it.
positively.
Or something.
Think positively.
Gundkunst.
I'm not gonna say it.
So do you think your GM Brian Gundkunst should be fired for this?
I would say
Is this a
yes.
fireable offense?
Or he should have already been fired.
Should he have already been fired?
How do
for,
you view it?
For giving Aaron
Like
Rodgers
2 years
5-year,
ago?
$250 million, and basically, and instead of giving Aaron Rodgers weapons, you draft Jordan Love, and by trading up, mind you. Do you think he should be fired? Do you think this is the last straw? As a Packers fan, do you think your GM should be fired?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Let me
quick.
ask something. So there's still some QBs left,
There are.
which makes sense. So
Will
let me
Levis.
ask you something. They still have picks in later rounds thanks to the Jets. You're welcome. They could still get a quarterback. With the quarterbacks left, who do you
Who's-
think they should pick up?
Who's left?
So
Will
there's
Levis.
Will Levis,
Lord.
Hendon Hooker,
Gotta get to
Stetson
Hendon
Bennett, and Max Duggan. Those are kind of like the big four that come to my mind. There's probably some others in there.
I probably there's more.
Not sure I
Saddest
have Mac
big
Jones
four
that
I've
high.
ever heard.
The ones I'll probably think of probably my main one probably from Will Levis.
No, fuck off. No, you're not taking Liam.
There's no right answer to that.
There's
question.
no right
Yeah.
answer. Honestly,
Stetson Bennett's
Hendon
older
Hooker
than
would be the
Rodgers.
bigger pick.
Hendon
Yeah.
Hooker is ahead of Will Levis. in my book.
I actually think Hendon Hooker would be a solid pick if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He would have been a great
Okay.
pick if he didn't get hurt.
Where'd he go?
True.
He's in Tennessee.
Tennessee kid. That's right.
Okay.
He's got the best look.
I'm
Let me
cool.
ask you something, Liam.
This is my top 2 order. Hooker, number 1. If he's healthy.
You want a Hooker at 1? I think you should.
You gotta get
God
on that.
damn it.
Yeah.
You know I'm not.
Sun's
You know I'm
running
not
out.
like that.
You gotta
I
go
know.
Who's
an
that
hour.
now?
You're not about that life, I
You
know.
got 1 hour.
Okay. Hooker for number 1. If you do, it'll be my first pick for a quarterback. If it's not available by the time we have our pick, Levis. If Levis is still available,
Would you draft a quarterback in the second round today?
we have to.
Oh, you're crazy.
You have to.
No.
Ooh,
You're crazy.
No.
I don't know.
Maybe
Would
not.
you?
Now, probably for a 3rd round pick.
Okay, third or fourth is much
It'll
more
be
reasonable.
3rd, 4th. If there's quarterbacks left, I want
Okay.
a quarterback for a backup. But maybe 2nd round, I want a wide receiver.
Okay, that's reasonable. I think that's
I need I need a wide receiver too. Since we lost Lazard to the Jets, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah,
a wide receiver too. If not a wide receiver, I need something for my O line.
I really
I
thought-
don't know yet for my O line. I need something for my O
I
line.
really thought you guys should have went for a wide receiver
We should have.
because really after you get to Bryce Young, Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, it kind of gets worse from there.
It does.
Like Hendon Hooker, like I said, I am on the firm belief that Hendon Hooker would be a solid pick if he didn't get hurt,
if he was healthy.
and everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Hendon Hooker was on the top, was on like the top 5 on everyone's draft board.
He was probably gonna win the Heisman if he stays healthy.
He would have won the Heisman if he was healthy. I like Hendon Hooker's game. I will say, and I'm sorry to say, yes, I do like Max Duggan's game.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's not like a Skip Bayless style of Tim Tebow, but I see a little bit of potential in him. I do. You don't make it to the national championship for nothing.
Right.
You don't. Now, and the fact that he played so well against a Harbaugh defense is very impressive. One thing that the Harbaughs are great at is defense. The only problem is they're not good with anything else. Their offense gets mentally boomed, they get fucked. And I think the only reason why they didn't play well is because Georgia has such a stacked defense. I mean, the Eagles drafted Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. They probably have probably the best defense in the league right now.
You do.
With that, they are so good with when it comes to, and Georgia just brings out great defensive players all the time. Now on the field, off the field, not so much. But that's another story for another day or another couple of weeks. But I think, but Max Duggan, I think he can do something. I think he could be something special. I feel that if you gave him some weapons, because he also can run too. He's mobile. He's mobile. Based off from what I've seen with him, from getting to the national championship, and then from like on the road to it, and then eventually the championship itself. He's actually quite smart. He's had a lot of he plays pretty smart. And I think somebody should give him a shot, and I think that team should be the Packers. I do.
It should.
I do. We've seen potential in him that we have not seen in Jordan Love. That's for sure.
By the time his name's getting called, it won't be to at least the 5th round anyway. At that point, you might as well take a shot.
Yeah, it wouldn't be yes. And do I think Max Duggan is a project? Yes.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, if we're really thinking about it, do you trust Will Levis?
No.
Do you trust Stetson Bennett over Max Duggan? Do you trust in terms of health, do you trust Hendon Hooker over Max Duggan?
Not in terms of how, but Hendon Hooker's a lot.
Well, yes, Hendon Hooker, when healthy, is good, but we've seen players who have had ACL tears and have never recovered. Look at Tua.
True.
Tua got injured in college, then went to the Dolphins and has never stayed healthy. I mean, now it's like his brain is is like Swiss cheese, but still.
Hey,
But
especially the quarterback from the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's like not
especially that
Tua
quarterback.
Tagovailoa, yeah.
Does exactly have the great.
Yeah, and his brother's no better. His brother's constantly getting hurt too.
Really? Jesus.
Yeah, Talia Tagovailoa, who looks better than him, but the stretcher's always on speed dial with him too.
They have a hospital.
The stretcher's on speed dial. They already have it out waiting for him. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that to give Max Duggan a shot. I have some faith in him.
Mm-hmm.
And if I call Max Duggan being good, I am going to give myself multiple pats on the back. I'm going to get like that back scratch. Just got to pat myself on the back with it.
Do you guys
Excellent
think
work, Justin.
Will Levis is the next
No.
quarterback off the
No.
board.
Oh fuck
Justin.
no.
Okay.
No.
He's
Justin.
gonna keep
Yeah.
sliding.
Get the therapy gun.
I'll get the Theragun. Get yourself the Theragun. Yeah.
Let me-
Target.
All right, so I'll give my take. First of all, with Will Levis, I don't talk about that. Obviously, it's shocking because we thought he might go like possibly top 5. I don't see the hype in Will Levis at all.
Neither do I.
He has a nice arm, but every single year, there's a quarterback who GMs see his arm. They're like, "Oh my God, his arm talent's crazy. Let's take him." But they don't
Like the
realize,
Jets.
like Zach Wilson is a perfect example, and as is Will Levis.
I think Levis especially.
But what they don't realize is
His build is just like Josh Allen too. That they're like, oh,
Yeah,
they feel like
just
that's
be-
the future.
yeah.
But he doesn't have any.
just
actual
because
tools.
you have a big arm does not mean you can throw the ball accurately. Zach Wilson cannot. Will Levis cannot do that. The thing with Josh Allen, he can.
It took him a couple
When he
years.
first entered the league, he could not, but he worked on his game, and he has grown into he has now one of the best deep balls in the league because he's accurate. I get he's good size. That doesn't. I'm not high on him. I don't see anything super special. There's nothing that just blows me away.
No, there's
Okay.
nothing that blows you away either, and this is where you have to kind of judge the helmet. He played in Kentucky for football.
Whenever I see a Kentucky or
Who's
Purdue
the coach
football
for
player,
who's
don't
the
care.
who's the coach for Kentucky football? Is it also John Calipari?
Would not surprise me.
We're not surprised if it's John Calipari. Just like the Duke football coach was probably Coach K when they drafted Daniel
It
Jones.
was that one guy that like apparently Eli and Peyton like, so that's why.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. No wonder why they picked up Daniel
Eli
Jones.
texted Gettleman like, "Yo, I like the coach."
Yeah,
Gettleman's
I don't-
like, Fine.
I don't look at Will Levis and say, "Oh yeah, that's the guy." I wouldn't be relying on Will Levis.
He's a project.
He's more
he's
than
a
a project.
He's a project that you haven't started yet. Dude,
He's a house you have to build.
Do tomorrow, and you're
Yeah.
screwed.
You know, he's a basically we could say he's a blueprint if there's nothing on the blueprint.
He's a blank piece of paper.
He's a blank he's a
A
blank
blank blueprint.
he's a blank piece of paper cut in half. You know, like that's kind of how much of a project it is. Like, you know, you probably need like an you know, that's probably how much of a project he is. I actually think he's the worst option you can have right now.
I have. He's my 5th best quarterback
You would pick
available.
Stetson Bennett over him.
I would.
Okay.
Stetson-
I would.
I wouldn't take Stetson.
I
Bennett
would.
over him,
Stetson
but-
Bennett. Okay, yeah, Stetson Bennett had an issue with public intoxication, but
I don't
let's
care
face
about
it. Of all these guys in Georgia, is that really the worst thing? Jalen Carter killed 2 people.
Yeah.
or he was on the
He's
scene when 2 people died in a car crash. I know it was an accident, but still,
Yeah.
Quay Walker
Oh,
is
God.
shoving medical staff people all the time.
Deontay Wyatt did too.
Yeah, Deontay Wyatt did it too.
These Georgia players, they're really
Yeah,
good.
these Georgia
but
players
they
do
are
that,
not
but
smart.
but
All
also
of the
but
South
also
is another country.
yeah, but also Baker Mayfield also had a similar issue, and he got picked number 1 overall. Should he have been? No.
Similar issues.
He had similar
There's
issues.
several issues.
Yeah, similar issues.
Like grabbing his nutsack on the sideline.
He's next on the sideline, but still, but none of this is like this totally like horrendous thing. And I think the only reason why Stetson Bennett isn't getting picked higher is because of his age. That's probably true. I mean, Lamar is younger than him, or he's the same age as Lamar, and Lamar is an MVP. Isn't Patrick Mahomes the same age as him?
I think
Or maybe, like-
1 or 2 years older. He's the same age as Herbert, I believe. though.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up because I
Herbert's
think
been around 3 years.
because
at least.
Patrick Mahomes might be a similar age to him, and he already has 2 MVPs. He's 27,
The fact it's close.
so he's gonna be 26, and I think in June or something, Stetson Bennett's gonna be 26.
That's crazy.
So he's a year and a half, 2 years younger than Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes has 2 MVPs and 2 Super Bowls.
He's been to 3 of them.
Yeah, and he's what's up?
And he sat his first year.
And he's had his first year. So I think that's the only reason why Stetson Bennett is also a project.
I view him as a career backup.
But
think
I
he's
would-
gonna be a great backup.
I'd
for
put
the
him as a
next 10
backup.
years.
I put him as a backup. He could be your little Cooper Rush kind of guy, you know?
And
He-
he'd fit in Dallas, actually.
He'd fit in Dallas. He'd
Doesn't
fit in
matter
that
if he's in
Dallas
Dallas.
organization. Jerry Jones would like him.
Jerry would start him over Dak, probably.
Jerry would start him over Dak, and then Stetson Bennett will throw like 6 touchdowns and 30 picks, and it'll be like, you know what? Here's 4 years, $250 million. Speaking of that, let's talk about Lamar.
Yeah, we'll
Lamar
talk about
Jackson.
this.
Lamar Jackson got what he wanted and got paid. Apparently, though, he's now the highest paid quarterback, making $260 million over 5 years, $52 million a year. Therapy group of overpaid quarterbacks. This is the therapy group here. Who wants to start?
I'll
Who wants to talk about
start.
how they feel?
I'll start.
Tell me how you feel.
You jump
How
on
does
that
this make you feel?
This contract was the most absurd contract in the history of football. Lamar Jackson is going to break down in 4 to 5 years. He's already running quarterbacks do not last. Look at Cam.
Preach.
He went from MVP. The next day, he couldn't throw the ball 4 yards. Even Randall Cunningham, same thing. Michael Vick, different story. He missed 2 years with the off the field stuff.
Dogfighting.
But he even when he came out to the Eagles, looked reborn, and then eventually he pulled his hamstring whenever he would run more than 5
I know I
yards.
always bring him up. I know it's going to get annoying. I'm sorry, but you have to bring up RG3 as well.
RG3.
RG3 is supposed to be something
That was
special.
1 season it lasted.
RG3 was a beast,
he
though.
hurt his knee late in the season.
His
Thought he
first
could
10 games were impeccable.
thought he could play through it, and then hurt again in the playoffs. Was never the same again. And Lamar's only 25 years old. He's already breaking down. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the next Cam Newton without
Just without making it to the Super Bowl.
yeah, we both have an MVP obviously. So it's absurd. He's got 1 playoff win in 5 years. His play stuff does not work in the playoffs. Yes, in today's NFL, it is important to be. It's a big advantage to be dual threat and to be able to make plays outside the pocket. But if you don't have a fastball and be able to make the throws in the pocket, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. You're just not. Look at Mahomes. Yes, Mahomes is extremely mobile, makes a ton of plays outside the pocket, but when it matters, he can step up in the pocket and make the big throws.
Oh, absolutely.
Him, Allen, even Jalen Hurts, all these guys. Herbert, absolutely. All these guys can. Josh Allen, just go down the list of all the elite guys.
Yep.
And Lamar can't do that. You had Ben Roethlisberger on the podcast. I know Ben is not a great guy, and I know there was like the whole graphic of stats, like Lamar's aren't that much stats are like right in line with his, but he does bring up a good point. His arm does not scare you.
No.
It does not scare you. It just doesn't. And also, $52 million a year for a guy with 1 playoff win in 5 years. He has not stayed healthy in 3 years. He's been a mediocre thrower for the last 3 years. To me, it makes no sense. And now the Ravens, they got to win the Super Bowl this year. And are they top 5 in the AFC? Are they?
The Ravens?
Yeah, I don't
Probably not. I'd probably put top 5 in the AFC. It's obviously Chiefs,
yeah.
Bills,
No order.
Bills, Chiefs, Bengals.
Yeah.
You could probably throw the Jets up there now.
The Jets are in that conversation.
Jets are in the conversation.
Jets, Chargers, Dolphins are all
Chargers.
ranked better than them.
I would take
Maybe not the
Jacksonville over them.
Dolphins. Maybe not the Dolphins. Jacksonville, I'd put over them.
Yeah, so they're like what, the sixth
The
best
Dolphins
team
are
at
the same
best.
level.
Dolphins the same level. Yeah, I'd probably put. I don't think they're. I'd say top 7.
And now once you pay the quarterback, the window closes. They can't get anybody else. They can't. Now they're not gonna when Mark Andrews' contract comes up again. They're not gonna be able to re-sign him. When if let's say OBJ has 1,000 yards this year, they're not gonna be able to re-sign him. When Marlon Humphrey's contract comes up again, they're not gonna be able to re-sign him.
Yep.
Because they gave it over to Lamar, so now their window they closed their window. It's a team that last year. It's a team that has, last year was one and done in the playoffs, and the only reason they made the playoffs because in the beginning of the year they beat up all the bad teams, and when they played good teams down the stretch, they got cooked, and then Lamar got hurt. And year prior, they weren't even in the playoffs. This team has not won a playoff game in several years.
Probably 2-3 years.
Yeah, they have not won a playoff game since 2019, and now their window is closed. They still need another piece on the offensive line. I think the D line is weak.
I don't even know if you get D-Hop from this.
I don't think you get D-Hop, especially if they
drafted
take a
Zay.
receiver in the draft.
Say, yeah.
And when his contract comes out, I don't know if they'll be able to re-sign him.
Yep.
Or extend him.
Yep.
So that could create a whole situation
Yep.
if Zay Flowers works out.
Yep.
So this contract makes no sense. It is a massive overpay. Makes no
Yep.
sense. And Lamar is at best the 7th or 8th best quarterback
We gotta.
in the league. Makes no sense. Gigantic overpay, and it's ridiculous.
All right, Ryan.
Okay.
Brian, how does this
I-
make you feel?
I agree with Jake on the point. I think he's overpaid. I am also worried about his health. However, if I'm the Ravens, I look at Lamar and I say, we have a guy on our roster who is in a class of guys who I think can lead us to a Super Bowl. And when you have one of those guys, I don't think you can afford to try to go and find another. I think it was a
Well, now
move
they definitely
had
can't
to make.
afford to go and try to find
Well,
another.
yeah,
Now they definitely can't afford to go find another.
now, obviously, but I think they had to make this move because just the ceiling of Lamar over these next few years is so high and has Super Bowl potential. I don't think that's something you can move on from. And you also mentioned all those other quarterbacks who broke down. Lamar is not one of the top tier passers in the league. He's still a better passer than I think Michael Vick or like RG3 ever were.
I don't know. Michael Vick got a cannon.
Michael Vick had a cannon.
I think Lamar is more accurate though.
Maybe a little
Michael
more
Vick was.
accurate. All right, he's pretty more accurate, yeah.
Yeah.
But Vick had a much better arm.
Yep.
So obviously, I think it's a crazy contract. It's a ridiculous contract because of, like you said, his track record. He's won one playoff game. If I'm the Ravens, I still own up and pay the man because I think there's no other way for us to win a Super Bowl within the next 10 years unless we make this move. Because if you don't, then you have to go into an entire rebuild. Then you have to hope you find a quarterback who works out. I'm not saying they're close. Let's say the fact they have a guy like this puts them halfway there. If I'm halfway there, I try to finish it off. I just think they're too far down the road to turn back at this point. That's at least how I view it. And especially getting the two receivers I like. I don't think OBJ or Zay is a number one, but this is the best receiving core he's probably ever had, which is actually really sad, but it's something for Lamar.
Yeah.
I do agree partially with you, Ryan. If Lamar was healthy, and if he could stay healthy, there's a possibility he could give you a Super Bowl. However, he can't stay healthy. And also, ever since he came into the league, I've hated his game. I don't like his game. I think it's a very selfish play. I really do. Jake, you mentioned something about how quarterbacks need to be a dual threat.
Mhm.
They need to be a triple threat in my opinion, because you need to, of course, have an arm. You need to be able to move. You need to be mobile, but you also need to be unpredictable.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's play style is very, very predictable.
Yeah.
A defense probably needs to watch 20 minutes of film of him and be like, okay, yeah, we know what to do. It's simple. I can count multiple times to where the pocket has been perfect for him and he just runs. Hollywood Brown is down the field and wide open, because the secondary for the team sucks and he's running it. Like, I do not like, but now defenses have read it. He's been in the league for long enough to know it. If he goes for the run, you can easily light him up now. So think his play style works. And on top of that, it's going to get him even more hurt. It's going to get him more injured. I don't think he changed his play style because you're right, his arm sucks.
Yeah.
His arm is not that good. When is the last time you've seen him throw a deep ball? Probably in his MVP season.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time I ever seen him throw a deep ball. And then after that, it's just been all picks, or it's always been running the football.
Yeah.
He's not going to last. He's not going to sustain. This is the Duncan Robinson contract of the NFL right here. Overpaid too much. I think if I'm a Ravens fan, I'd be frustrated because now you're stuck. But good job, Ravens. Congratulations on being mediocre and having, I guess having a top 10 quarterback in the AFC because Kenny Pickett sucks ass. Good for you. All right, but what's next on the docket for now?
I think you know what? Before we wrap up, shout out to the Miami Heat.
No, fuck the Miami Heat.
They won. They beat the
Knicks
best
in
team.
4. Knicks in 4.
I hope so. I do have the Knicks winning, but
Fuck
I
the
don't know, like,
Heat.
I'm not against
I don't
it.
know,
Yeah, fuck
like,
the Heat.
I don't
Knicks
know,
in
like,
4.
Yep.
You have Jimmy Butler in your team. You have a chance.
Nope.
You still want them to
You
lose.
beat the Bucks
You
in
have the most-
5 games.
you have the
Okay,
most
you beat the
momentum.
Cavs in 5 games.
True.
That's more impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed. We got lucky.
You have the most
They have
momentum.
Giannis on their team.
And
Let me
Heat
tell you.
lose
Let me
every
tell you
night.
what's gonna happen. Okay.
Oh my
Okay.
God. This
I mean,
man is
I
never
do think
happy.
the Knicks win. I hope they win.
If it goes to 7, I think the Heat win
Mhm.
because Jimmy Butler in the clutch is unstoppable.
Of course.
Here's what Heat fans need to understand. Here's what Knicks fans need to understand. Heat fans need to understand that the Knicks are a very good team this year, and they are not somebody to sleep on. Just because their name is the Knicks does not mean they're bad. They beat the Cavs. That's a very convincing fashion. They
Yeah.
blew out the Cavs in 2 of those games to close it out.
Yeah.
One of which was at Cleveland's home court.
Yeah.
I would not sleep on them. I would not think this is an easy win for Knicks fans.
Mhm.
I would not even think for 2 seconds that the Miami Heat, that the Garden atmosphere is going to affect Jimmy Butler.
Oh,
It
no,
won't.
of course
Jimmy
not.
Butler
They'll
for
thrive
that
off
is
it.
like Teflon.
Yeah.
It worked with Donovan Mitchell. It worked with Darius Garland. Worked with Jared Allen. It's not working with Jimmy Butler.
No
He,
way.
like I said, he's like a duck. It just brushes off on him. It's nothing. It's nothing to him.
He'll be like
And
Trae
it's-
Young. He'll benefit from
He'll
it.
be like Trae Young. He'll
Hey,
benefit
Jake?
from him.
You have a call in.
Oh, there's a call in
I have
from
a
Ethan.
call-in.
Hi, Ethan.
Hi, Ethan.
Did-
Let anyone talk sports with Jake these days.
They do.
Really do.
Okay.
He's
This is
really
Jake
good.
and
Yeah,
Justin,
dude.
by the way.
Yeah, it's Jake just in the morning.
know what fucking
Shout out to
show you're
Ethan.
going on.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Ethan. You've
Yeah.
all seen him before.
Wow, man. But anyway, so I think at the end of the day,
Hello.
at the end of the day, Heat in 4, Knicks in 4. The Miami Heat suck. They're a bunch of frauds.
Wait, hold on. Why am I hearing in my ear?
Because he's got the playback over there. He has talkback on because he's weird like that. But anyway,
Justin could win the lottery and he'd blam Bam Adebayo. But he lost the ticket.
anyway,
Swear to
Knicks in
God.
4.
I hope so.
Fuck this team. Fuck the Heat.
I'll say Knicks in 6. I'll say Knicks in 6 or 7.
Knicks in 4.
I hope
Knicks in
so.
4. It's a sweep. It's a sweep.
Oh, we're sweet.
I'll give them in the nicest way. I'll give them Knicks in 5 because Jimmy Butler's going to average 70 points this
Are you-
series, and they're still going to lose by 5 every
Are
game
you
because
still
he has
fru-
all 70
Are you
points.
still frustrated that the Heat are only showing up like this now when they could have been this all season?
Yep.
Is that what the frustration is? Okay.
I have a lot of frustration.
I guess I can.
The
understand that.
one
I'd still
thing
be
that I'd be
happy.
scared of for the Knicks is that the role players are finally stepping up for the Heat, and I don't think Mitchell Robinson is going to have an easy of a time getting boards
Yeah.
as he
No,
did
it's
in
gonna
this
be tough.
one.
How
He
much
had
of
a-
a loss is Tyler Hero?
Not that much. Not that
I
much.
know you're not a fan of him. Yeah, he's.
I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan of him. Okay, I never said I wasn't a fan of Tyler Hero.
Mhm.
I wasn't a fan of the contract,
Yeah.
and I'm not a fan of his ego.
Yeah.
He loves to every single time he succeeds on the bench, he says, "I deserve to be a starter," and then he becomes a starter and he sucks. Now, all he needs to do is just wake up, accept that he might be like that Malcolm Brogdon kind of piece,
Yeah.
to where he could be your solid sixth man.
He's better
and
than
then-
that. He's like Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he could be
He
your
has a higher
he could be
ceiling.
your solid sixth man. Very solid actually, one of the best in
Yeah.
the league because he was almost undisputed. He's almost unanimous last year. And I think he could succeed that way. I just think he needs to learn that that's where he can succeed. If he doesn't, well, then he could go fuck off with his chlamydia-ridden dick. I really am not. I'm frustrated.
This is the only Heat fan who still has a bad week after they beat the Bucks in 5.
Trust me, I was happy when they beat the Bucks, but not that
I
happy.
can tell by your face. Yeah. Thrilled.
I was a happy man.
I have a picture that proves that, yes.
I was like bowing down to the TV. I was like, Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler is
He's
something
crazy.
else.
He's crazy.
He is something else. There's right now no one else in the playoffs better than Jimmy Butler.
I agree. He's one of my favorite players in the
I
league.
would
Same.
not trust anyone else more. And I'm talking about in any scenario. 1, 3, 4, 7, especially in 7. Oh my God, game 7, you could without a doubt trust him. All that matters is the pieces around him. All you need to do is do the classic shoe football team defense. Hand it off to your best player. Just like what they did with Julius Chestnut here. Just hand it off to Jimmy Butler. He will do something with it.
Right.
Do I think the Heat lose this? Absolutely. But my hot take is that Jimmy Butler beats Michael Jordan
What do you mean?
in all-time.
Yes,
He breaks the playoff record for most points scored.
Ooh, that
He was
would-
only 7
Oh,
points
I see.
away. If they kept him in the second,
63 points.
yeah, if they
Okay,
kept him
yeah.
in the second quarter, he probably would have. He would have more
Probably.
than 63. He'd probably have 65.
And he's the kind of guy. If there's a game 7, he's playing all 48 minutes.
He's playing all
yeah,
48
he's not
minutes.
totally coming out of the
Yeah,
game.
Yeah.
you know, he'd probably play like 49 in standard time. He'll find a way. He'll play during the timeouts. He'll practice during
They'll
timeouts.
call the guy from the Grizzlies and they'll fake his stats.
Fake his stats, yeah. But
That's a good
that's really
prediction.
all I have about it. Fuck the Heat. I'm very sad. I'm very annoyed. I'm very angry. I'm not a happy camper. I want this season to end. I want this season. Like I said, I'm like a dog. Put me down already. Put it down. I'm done.
That's a good prediction, though.
It's
They'll have
over.
More than 63.
Yeah, I think he'll have more than 63.
Do you think he'll do it against the Knicks? Well, you think they're gonna lose, so yeah.
I think they're gonna lose, but I think they'll do it against the Knicks.
Okay.
I think if it's the one game they win, he'll have that, and it wouldn't surprise me. It's likely at this point, especially because we know what Jimmy Butler can do. He was only 7 away, and like I said, if they kept him in the second quarter, probably would have had it by
He'll
now.
have 65, and then the next week Derek White will have 70.
Yeah, and then the next week Derrick White was 70.
So, I mean,
You know,
it's just how these things work.
yeah, that's how it works with Jimmy Butler. But yeah, I'm a very depressed Heat fan, as you guys could tell. We've been, and I have every right to be. Even if they win the finals, I'll be like, you know what, Heat suck. The Heat suck. Because I have no faith in this team. The Miami Heat will attempt to play basketball on Sunday at 1 p.m. But nonetheless, go Knicks.
Ooh, thank you. All right, well, that's all we got for you today. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, so long. Have a great day.
Oonch.
Go Jimmy.